The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives. I'm Debi, your certified holistic health coach. I revitalize people's lives by helping them identify the root cause of their health and mindset issues and create a custom, natural, holistic strategy to address them in the areas of mind, body, and soul. As a health coach, I'm not allowed to say that I heal, treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any diseases. I can certainly make your body more efficient by reducing symptoms. You'll feel better, be more productive, and enjoy life more. Not many people have released 70 pounds, had a health transformation, and kept fit and trim for over a decade. I have, and I have staying power. And it's been over 11 years. I even became a half marathon runner at the age of 51. When I never ran from childhood to adulthood due to foot pain, and I have done 8 half marathons, mindset is the key to lasting change. As a certified holistic health coach, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. I guide them to clean, toxin-free foods and high-quality essential nutrients. My coaching is for optimizing your health, releasing weight efficiently if needed, and enhancing your mindset. With my mindset coaching, I help my clients recognize that their thoughts, feelings, and emotions drive their actions and results. Sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's bad. So it's really crucial for you to have a positive mindset to succeed in life. It's also imperative that you manage your emotions and release those low vibrational emotions such as fear, frustration, and doubt, because they're going to slow you down and get you stuck physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Like a hot air balloon with ballasts, I help my clients release those emotional ballasts and baggages so they can uplift to a better, healthier life. In turn, they're releasing their stress and reshaping their core beliefs. You will see and feel the differences of my coaching programs. Set up a consultation to ask me more about them at my link tree at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLives, as in victory, es.com/linktree, LINKTREE. And I'll guide you to that better, happier, healthier life. Now, people have told me that I have grit, and I've built resilience throughout my life, and it's been so beneficial for me. Today, I am thrilled to have Robin Johnson, the founder of Robin Learning Systems. She is a well-being advisor, a fraud prevention expert, and a Suzuki violinist teacher. How fun is that? She blends her unique experience and insight in everything she does, whether she is guiding someone to find their signature strength or helping companies to create an environment where they're going to stay. She holds an MBA in organizational behavior with BYU and a master's with applied positive psychology from the University of Philadelphia, where she studied under Martin Ziegler, who is the founder of positive psychology. She's also a #1 international author, where her book hit #1 in 29 categories in 13 countries. She's also a sought-after speaker, and she co-authored this book, Enabling Business for Success. Today, Robin is going to be sharing with us how to build resilience. It's like building a muscle. With a little bit of effort and intention, it can be done. And so we're going to welcome Robin Johnson, the founder of Robin's Learning Systems, to my show. So Is Robin there?
I sure am. Hello.
Welcome to my show.
Yeah, thank you so much. It is really, really a delight to be here. And I will say that we met, and you were a guest on a podcast that I co-host, and you were such a delightful guest, talking about all the changes that you've done and inspiring women. The co-host the podcast I co-host is Women Investing in Women. And you were a fabulous guest there. And it was so kind of you to invite me to be on your show, Debi Changes Lives, because you absolutely do change lives. And it's really a privilege for me to be here with you.
Well, thank you for being here. That's so wonderful what you just said. I appreciate it. And so, I know what resilience is. Maybe some people don't. So, what is resilience?
Well, in the studies that I've done at the University of Pennsylvania, and also with my MBA and an emphasis in organizational behavior from Brigham Young University, resilience is the ability to bounce back from challenges, to navigate through adversity, to overcome obstacles. And this is very important, to reach out and to grow. We often think of these first three components, bouncing back, navigating through, overcoming, those are reactive in nature. We're reacting to something, which is extremely important. But another component is being able to find growth through that adversity, through that challenge, through those obstacles, and being able to reach out and grow because of that. And we've heard a lot about post-traumatic syndrome, which is very real and very important to be addressed. But there's also a phenomenon called post-traumatic growth, where we can grow from our challenges.
Yes. And it's really important because sometimes our challenges, I don't like to call them failures. I just call them something to work on and grow upon, because you can always find something that didn't quite work out and improve upon it and get to where you need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. I've heard from different people that the symbol in some, might be in Chinese or some language like that, that the symbol for challenge is the same as the symbol for opportunity or something like that. But basically, as you just said, we look at challenges as opportunities. And it's very true that we get knocked down sometimes. We get bucked off the horse. And acknowledging, hey, I just got bucked off a horse, you'll kind of lick our wounds for a minute, then catch your breath, dust yourself off, and then have the skills to then keep going.
Yeah, as you said that, I broke my foot a few years ago, and I actually healed very quickly from it, so I'm really happy about that. But I did have some muscle loss, so I had imbalances, and unfortunately, I fell a few times and injured myself, and I felt like I was doing the cha-cha, and I just laughed it off. So it's really, when something happens to you, just laugh it off, because what it does is it changes your feeling about what you just happened when you fell.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, there are many situations where you can look back and find the humor in it. And sometimes it takes a while to find the humor in it. Of course, there's some situations where there isn't any humor to be found. You just solemnly acknowledge what happened and move on. But in many instances, having a sense of humor definitely aids in our resilience. It aids in our ability to overcome, navigate, and work through, navigate through. And so having some humor is definitely helpful.
Yeah, it is my case. So, why is having resilience matter?
Resilience is extremely important because people with resilience are more successful in every category of life. They get better grades, they have better relationships, they earn more money, they have more opportunities. And the other thing that's really important is that the skills of resilience that are learnable skills help us undo the ongoing negative consequences that stem from our childhood. And it doesn't matter how great of a childhood you had, everyone has challenges from childhood. There are no parents who are perfect. Every parent made mistakes. And as children, we absorb those mistakes and carry them into our future. Having a sense of resilience and learning the skills of resilience can help us discover and overcome some of those challenges. And some of those challenges, we already know what they are. Others remain hidden to us. And so by being able to develop our resilience, it gives us the emotional strength to uncover some of those things, and the emotional strength to then overcome them. We have to discover them and then overcome them. So it's very important.
Yeah, exactly. Now, some people are very good with their grades and what's coming to their lives. They need to pay more attention to it and treasure that and realize that that's something really a positive thing in life. Do you ever have people that don't, recognize that as resilience?
Well, I see there's two things coming to my head. One thing is called imposter syndrome, which is very, very real. And it's where we just don't believe that we are as good as we are. And
Mm.
and this can happen to anyone. And there are definitely some strategies and skills you can learn to overcome that. But one of my favorite examples is Karen Rivich, Dr. Karen Rivich. She teaches at the University of Pennsylvania. She helped develop the Penn Resilience Program, which is one of the most vetted programs and most popular programs in the world. And she helped invent this. She did in class. She shared that one time she was flying out from Philadelphia out to San Francisco to meet with some military leaders because the Army had adopted this resilience program to help
Okay.
their soldiers. She's flying in, getting ready to land, and she starts thinking, "Oh my gosh, what if I forget what I'm going to say? Am I even any good at this? What if they don't believe me?" And this is the person who invented it. Okay. She's suddenly struck with this imposter syndrome as she's in the air getting ready to land. Well, fortunately, she remembered her training. And so her training kicked in. Okay, that's not true because, I am the one who invented this. And if I forget something, then I can just look in my notes. All these strategies that we learn in school, which we then apply, and which I can teach people. But that's my favorite example. Is here is the person who invented it, and she is having imposter syndrome. So there's imposter syndrome where we don't believe that we are as good as we are, and then the other thing is having a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And
Mm.
oftentimes children who are really good, they have a good set of skills. Maybe they were raised in a family where they were able to develop a lot of things. If they are told, "Oh, you're really smart, so you can do that. You can do this because you're just really smart. You're just naturally good at this." Well, there are times when, yeah, you are naturally good. But on the other hand, there are times when you had worked hard and you had practiced and you had, tried, you'd worked out, whatever this skill might be. And when children are told, you're just really smart, well, you don't really have a lot of control over how smart you are. And that can actually backfire and cause them to not try. Because if I'm
Mm.
supposed to just be naturally good, and then I try at something and I'm not just naturally good at it, then that means I failed. And so I'm just not going to try. And so what we want to do is focus on things that children have control over. Well, wow, you got a really good grade. You must have studied really hard, or you must have paid attention to the teacher, or maybe you went to those extra workshops. So that is something that you have control over. And so it makes me think of right after I had just been doing some reading and learning on this, and giving credit where credit is due. Um, when my daughter and son-in-law then had their first child, my granddaughter, they said, "This book, Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck, this is required reading." And so if you want to interact with your granddaughter, you need to read this and adopt different vocabulary, which I did.
Okay.
And so anyway, just having that vocabulary. And I realized I went off on this tangent of this story about my granddaughter and realized kind of forgot where I was going with this. But the notion that, oh yeah, I can remember it now. Is
Okay.
I just been reading it. And so our other daughters were home, then they've all learned violin and piano and multiple instruments and that. And they were performing, and someone said to me, "Oh, it's so lucky that your children are so talented." And I said, "Yes, luck and thousands of hours of practicing and thousands of dollars in music lessons."
Exactly.
Luck. And yes, they are really good.
Yes. And some do have natural talents, but they still need to grow and work on those talents and get some expert advice from people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's
true.
interesting that, the first example, she actually saw her doubt, recognized it, and immediately said, okay, what do I do now? And released it. And I'm sure she got through her presentation. And with the example with children, that's fabulous. Reading a book. But my whole point is that, these kids these days, because of what they've been through recently with the pandemic, they don't have the spunk, tenaciety, so to speak. And I mean both spunk and spontaneity. Because our world is so much different than it was when we were growing up. And they're letting that, pull them down. And it's really important to not pay attention to what's going on in the external world and pay attention to what you're doing and how you're reacting to it. Like you said at the beginning, being proactive. And that's what I have my clients do too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I realize that we have a tendency to put different generations into stereotypical boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if some of this notion of, well, they don't have as much resilience or stick-to-itiveness. I personally have not experienced that in my interactions. But I'm wondering.
It's not resilience. It's just they have doubt about I know if somebody is graduating soon and she doesn't even know what she's going to do because of what's going on right now. So that's the whole point. They're just wondering what's going on with the world. And instead of wondering what's going on in the world, just move forward and find that job. Do you get my point?
Yes, that is very true. I was going to say that because of their experiences, they're approaching life differently.
Yes.
For example, when COVID hit and lots of people are dying, lots of people are getting sick, people are being laid off, people are being furloughed, people are working online. It really, it shifted people's priorities and shifted people's perspectives. And so maybe these young people are going to be different than say my older sister who just turned 80 and grew up like more in the industrial age where you work with one company for 50 years and then you retire. Their life experiences are different.
Yes.
But I do believe that not just this generation, but any generation can function more effectively in their mindset, in their belief system, and in their ability to move forward. And like you say, to be proactive and having the strength to do that, and having the skills to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And they may go from job to job. There may be a lot more variety and more interesting too. I mean, that's the way you can look at it, right? So, I've seen one of your presentations, and you talk about creating an edge of the pool. Can you explain to the audience what that is all about?
Yeah, that is one of my favorite concepts to teach. And within the broad field of resilience, one of my favorite slices of the pie is what is called a FAST skill, real-time resilience. It's called real-time resilience because you can keep it in your hip pocket and whip it out anytime you need it.
Okay.
And within that skill, there's different strategies and different what are called sentence starters. And I use the analogy that these sentence starters and these strategies are like the edge of a swimming pool.
Okay.
And when I was watching my children learn how to swim, and then also as I watched my granddaughters learn how to swim, the instructor will have them jump in, then turn around, and then kind of paddle to the edge and grab onto the edge. Jump in, turn around, grab the edge. Jump in, turn around, grab the edge. If they jump out a little bit further, then turn around, paddle over, grab the edge. Well, they do that over and over and over again in multiple lessons. And one time the instructor explained the reason why they do this is so when the children are off on their own and they're at a swim party or they're at a public school, a public pool, and they get kind of jostled or maybe they get pushed and they fall into the pool, then instead of just kind of flailing around and drowning, that they will instinctively, when they hit the water, instinctively, they'll reach over and they'll go toward finding the edge of the pool. And so I use that analogy that we can create. I used to call it find. I now call it create our mental edge of the pool. So when we get knocked off balance, maybe we're sitting in a marriage therapy session and something is said, then we are knocked off balance, or maybe we're at work and someone says something that knocks us off balance, or our child says something that knocks us off balance, and we're just kind of in our heads and in our hearts, we're just kind of, flailing. That these sentence starters and these strategies, and another strategy called calming and calming strategies, that they can help us grab onto a mental edge of the pool. And instead of just flailing around and being in this emotional distress or discomfort, that we can turn ourselves around more quickly. And so that's what I call it creating. We create a mental edge of the pool. And what I discovered is that the more I was able to create these mental edges of the pool, I noticed an interesting phenomenon is I could kind of detect, it kind of feels like I just about might be going to be pushed into the pool. And I could begin anticipating being in situations where someone might try to push me into the pool. And then I could anticipate that, kind of steel myself, get my nerves strengthened.
Reduce your anxiety.
Yeah. And so when I did get pushed into the pool, I wasn't flailing around. I could kind of anticipate it, have a response, and move on like that. And so I just thought that was such an interesting phenomenon, which I didn't expect at all. But I could kind of tell in social situations where I might, could anticipate where I might get thrown off, and then I wouldn't get thrown off. Instead, I'd be prepared.
Yeah, sometimes when you scan a room, I'm empathic. So sometimes when you scan a room, I feel the energy, or I feel, oh, this is not my crowd. And so pretty much, you don't want to feel nervous and anxious. So you just wanted to take a deep breath and say, what can I do in this situation? And obviously because of what people call my grit, it's just my courage. I have no fear. I just like, hi, I'm Debbie. And I just ask them what they do. What do you do? I just listen to them. I let them talk. I listen to them. And then I share what I do. So that's something that, took time for me to get used to, because I was a person that was very quiet. I was like, I'm not anymore, but I was a wallflower. And so I've learned that over time, unless you speak out and reach out to somebody and talk, they're not going to reach out to you. Yeah. And that's one thing, when you get thrown into the pool, I've actually gotten thrown into a river. Yeah. Well, this guy snuck up on me. I guess he liked me. He was one of the river guides of this rafting adventure type of thing. He snuck up on me and pulled me into the river. And the first thing I realized, natural thing, because it was so cold, I went to hold, my heartbeat just stopped. And then when I got up there, I got back into the the raft. But your body does respond that way. It makes you, not necessarily hold your breath, but give you a moment to slow down and figure out what you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. I will, for your audience who will be listening to this either right now or later, I will teach 2, maybe 3 important things. One is, I used to, when would do my workshops, I used to always go after explaining about resilience in general.
Mm-hmm.
I loved real-time resilience so much, I would just go right to it. Then I
Yes.
realized that when people are really emotionally upset, it's really hard to engage our prefrontal cortex and use
think
these
about it, right? Yeah.
and think about it and use these strategies. So one of the other fast skills is calming and focusing. And that is another fast skill that you can do just right on the spot. And so once you realize, oh my gosh, I got shoved in the pool, or you realize, I'm really, panicking, or I'm feeling very anxious. And the first thing is to breathe. And I know that sounds very obvious. And I know that in this day and age, there are many, many, many practices, wonderful practices on breathing. But literally, your breath is what keeps you centered and grounded in this world. And someone pointed out on a presentation I was listening to not long ago that you can go a long time without eating. You can go actually some days without drinking anything.
Yes.
And still stay alive. But
Right.
the minute when you stop breathing, more than for a minute or 2, man, you're gone. Okay. So breath is utterly core to who we are. The other thing that's really that helps me stay grounded in any kind of breathing is to realize that what we breathe, the air, the oxygen, the atmosphere around us, that
Yes.
is the one thing that connects every single human being on the planet. And this is part of Barbara Fredrickson, who's known as one of the mothers of positive psychology. She has these wonderful meditations, and I learned this from one of her meditations, is that when you take a breath in, every single human being on the planet, regardless of time zone, regardless of hemisphere, they are breathing the exact same air.
Yes, they are.
And that connects us. The other thing that I thought of, kind of a corollary to this, is if every single human being on the planet took a really big inhale all at the same time, would we run out of atmosphere? Would
No.
everyone suck up all of the oxygen? No, they wouldn't.
No.
And so we are literally surrounded by abundance.
Yes,
We
we
are
are.
literally surrounded by abundance. And the more we can tap into, I am surrounded by abundance. I am breathing in the same air that my next door neighbor is, that you are breathing, etc. That is connection. So simply taking a big internal breath where you fill up your whole lungs, you fill up down into your stomach, down into your belly. Just 1 or 2 of those breaths activates your parasympathetic nervous system and
It
helps
really
calm you
does.
down. Helps
Yes.
calm you down. So there's that calming and focusing.
Yeah. And, sometimes people have anxiety, and they are not breathing as deeply as they should. So for them just to be aware of how they're breathing, just pay attention to the way you're breathing. Am I breathing shallowly, or am I breathing deeply? Because as soon as you breathe in deeply, then you're going to be able to, as doing it slowly, you're going to be more aware of what the rhythm is like. And then you can add the next breath even slower. I'm probably not many people like me out there. I'm actually a scuba diver as well. And because of certain injuries I've had in the past, I use a smaller tank than most people. And I come up with the small tank, not empty, and people are where everyone else is empty. And they're really amazed. They said, "You're like a fish." It's just because of the way I breathe. And when I'm scuba diving, I'm so darn relaxed that I'm just like enjoying the scenery. It's like you're flying over a little microcosm of a community. I don't know if at Disneyland there used to be a thing where it looked like you're flying over a small community. It was like one of these rides at Disneyland, and that's what it's like when you scuba dive. And so I would just exhale, and I was great at buoyancy. So if I felt like I was going up too high, I would just exhale more, and I'll balance out. So if you know how to control your breath, and you pay attention, if you don't, pay attention to how you breathe, and then pay attention to how you feel when you're bringing down your anxiety, and you'll notice a difference. It's just being aware, right?
Yeah, exactly. And absolutely what you said about that when you're anxious, we tend to breathe kind of shallowly, and then we don't get as much we don't get as much oxygen to our brain and our extremities. And so by, like you said, by slowing down, breathing in, breathing out, there's lots of different ways of breathing, but simply slowing down and breathing more deeply, we're going to get more oxygen to our brain so we can think better, so we can function better, so we can then apply these other strategies for real-time resilience once we've calmed ourselves down.
Yeah. Are there any other real-time resilience that you want to share since we're talking about it? Because I think that this would be very beneficial for other people out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So two of my very favorite strategies, one is called evidence. And the
Okay.
sentence starter is, "That's not true because." And then you fill in the blank with something that is specific, accurate, and vivid that demonstrates, that proves that whatever thought that you're thinking is not true. And what the purpose of real-time resilience is to overcome and kind of smack down these automatic negative thoughts that continually flitter through our head like, "Oh, I'm an idiot," or "I'm not any good," or "I can't do this." We have these little tiny phrases, 2 or 3 words, or of 3 or 4 words, a little tiny sentence that will automatically just pop into our head. And
Yeah.
so once we become aware, "Oh, that popped into my head," or "I'm saying it now, I'm such an idiot," right? "But have I done anything right today?" When that pops in, then once we're aware that you're doing it now, then you can whip out that evidence. "That's not true because, I'm not an idiot because that's not true because I organized a Messiah sing-along for 1,000 people in 3 months." "I'm the primary editor of Frank Abagnale's Fraud Bulletin." I can say these things that are very specific and specific, vivid, and accurate to smack that down. And another one of my favorite strategies is a reframe. And and the sentence starter is, "Well, a better way of looking at this, or a more accurate way of looking at this." And for an example of how this can play out, for example, Linda calls her daughter, and her daughter doesn't pick up the phone. So Linda starts thinking, "My daughter doesn't like me. She doesn't like to she doesn't like to talk to me. I was a terrible mother. And I didn't do anything right raising her." You can see
It goes on and on and on.
yeah. And all that happened was she called her daughter didn't pick up the phone. And so instead of going into this negative thinking, this downward spiral, there's lots of different types of negative thinking, but the one I just illustrated was like a downward spiral.
Right.
Instead of spiraling out into she doesn't like me. She doesn't like to talk to me. I was a terrible mother and I don't do anything right. Instead, you can say, that's not true. She doesn't like to talk to me. Well, that's not true because she has called me to talk to me. And a better way of looking at this is, yes, I made some mistakes as a mom, but I've apologized for them. I've changed my behavior. And I did do many good things as a mother, gave her many opportunities. And so I really like that reframing. They say you can't change the past. And I am beginning to disagree to an extent about that.
Okay.
While it is true, we cannot change the actual physical event that happened, we can reframe how we look at that, and that can change it for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I love that. Reframing is a really for me a very powerful strategy.
So the reframing is helping them understand what something did materialize in their favor, how it could be done better, or how, this was out of my control because my parents did X, Y, and Z. And I'm an adult now, and I can do what I need to do.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear hear what they've done. And it's so important in life to have a positive mindset. As I opened it up, it's crucial for success. And people do go in those spirals, and they need to reframe themselves. And some people have a really hard time thinking about the positive. So if someone's having a really hard time thinking about positive, is there anything that you kind of do that's a little different for that reframing?
Well, the one thing to keep in mind is that there are, some of the mistakes that are made as people are learning how to do real-time resilience. And one of them is, a Pollyanna, being Pollyanna. And that is where I like to say you want to have durable optimism. You want to have realistic real-time resilience. And that is where you very clearly see the challenges. You don't say, oh, that bad thing isn't happening. You don't say, things are not what they are. But you acknowledge they are what they are. And I can still find something good, or I can still innovate in a way that can help me meet that challenge. And for me, for example, on the reframing, something happened that, many, many years ago that was extraordinarily emotionally painful for me. It just was like a dagger in my heart that just stayed there for years and years and years.
Okay.
And when I shared about this experience with, something that someone had done and said with my therapist, she said, oh, well, this person has attachment issues. And so, of course, when they are in this situation, it'd be very normal for them to react how they did. It had nothing to do with you, because they have issues with attaching. And so when they're in this situation, they're going to say and they're going to respond the way that they did. Oh my gosh, it completely changed my perspective on that event. Instead of being, I am somehow deficient and this was somehow my fault and I'm not, lovable.
True.
It's like, just take that knife out of your heart, let it heal. That was that person. And so for me, that was reframing. And so for me, that did change the past. That changed the past. And so looking at, being getting back to your notion of being positive, is acknowledging what happened and then having different tools of reframing, relooking at it, and being able to move on from there.
Those are some wonderful tools that you shared today. Now, what is your offer for my audience today?
Wonderful. Well, I am so excited because One of the protective factors when you look at real-time and you look at resilience as a whole, you have some foundations that you can build on, you have some skills that you can learn, and then you have some protective factors. Well, one of the protective factors is positive organizations. And one of the things I feel absolutely passionate about is helping organizations create workplaces where people want to stay instead of wanting to leave.
Yes.
And more positive organizations helps us protect our resilience. And so I have various workshops for organizations, and I'm going to be doing one of those in the end of April, on April 25th, Friday, April 25th at 10 a.m. I just barely posted on my LinkedIn site. I'll be putting it in my Facebook page and Instagram and on my website. But the very first professional workshop that I did was in June of 2020. When COVID had hit, we're all locked down, and my workshop was on the resilient organization. And I had just barely graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. So I was using everything that I learned from there, everything that I learned many years ago at BYU. And I said, you know what? In this day and age, with the stock market going like this, all the crazy stuff that is happening in our world today, that it is time to dust off and to revisit the resilient organization. So I'm going to be doing a workshop on that. And anyone who signs up for it, you use the code ROBIN, ROBIN, and you will get a 50% discount on that. There's a minor fee, but for 50% discount. And you are welcome to use that. I have future workshops as well, and that I'll be posting about later. And you can go ahead and use that same code for a 50% discount. Just putting Robin, ROBIN, my name, and that will give you a discount on that.
Okay, so they would go to, I have you down going to your email, Robin at Robin Learning Systems. And you can mention Debi Changes Lives, so she knows where this is coming from.
Absolutely.
So that is a wonderful offer, Robin. And
Yes.
Would you like to be a guest on my show again?
Oh, absolutely. You have a delightful show. And I love the whole premise of Debi Changes Lives. And I love the whole premise that you changed your life. And now you're giving back, you're helping other women, other men, children change their lives. And I think that is just something really, really fantastic.
Oh, thank you. So I'll have you back. Please stick around for closing remarks, okay?
Definitely.
Remember, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. And I help you correct your gut. I help with hormone issues, immunity, mindset, of course, and so much more. And so it's all any health and mindset. And pretty much what I do is I guide you to a clean, toxic-free diet and high-quality essential nutrient products that will reduce symptoms. You'll feel better, be more productive, and possibly lose some weight. And it's going to uplift your mood. With my mindset coaching, I help you release your stress, emotions, entanglements in the past, and help you reshape your mindset. Your mindset would be enhanced. With my health and optimization as well as weight release, your body's being more efficient. So that's a mind-body thing that I'm doing for you with my programs. So reach out to me and set up an appointment on my consultation button of my link tree at Debi Changes Lives, CHANGS as in victory, es.com/linktree. And there you get to know me, I get to know you, and I guide you to optimal health. And it first starts with 1 or 2 assessments. The health evaluation, you rate your symptoms in the last 30 days in 4 categories of health, and there might be some more questions in different categories. You'll get a health score. I'll review it with you. I'll create that custom natural holistic strategy for you when you move forward with my services. And we monitor this on a monthly basis. I also have 2 different body scans. And I prefer to do the Zytolink, which is now called the ZeroLink. It's the same company. And I've actually sent this remotely and internationally to South Africa. And the ZeroLink is a transdermal optical imaging app that I send a link to your phone. You scan your face for 30 seconds. It's only looking at blood flow, not your face, for components of emotional, energetic and functional in different body systems and lifestyles. And the emotional is a gem. It creates a wellness report, not a diagnosis, of biomarkers out of range and products and services that bring it back into range. It's quite intensive reports. I review it with you, and it costs $75. When you move forward with any of my programs or products, you get a $25 discount. Now, Vizira Link is that transdermal optical imaging app, also known as TUI, and you can look that up at pubmed.gov, pubmed.gov. And I also have a family pack where you can save $50 on 5 scans. Now, people are really amazed what their body tells them in the scan, and you'll be too. Curious? Go to that link to get your first SIDA scan. And on the site are my programs. Take Your Body Back as a 12-week weight release mindset coaching program where you can utilize a new version of you for your success. All coaching is done on Zoom, and the first one's always private to you because I go over your health analysis. I give you a choice between 2 meal plans, instructions on one, and also I'm going to help you create a new version of you in an avatar board that will drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformation goals throughout your journey. We'll be using this board during coaching, and whether it's group or private, we will be celebrating your wins, and I'll be guiding you over your gaps with health and mindset tips and also answer your questions. You're welcome to ask me questions about this program because you will become a new you. And you can also watch a previous episode, Holistic Self-Love. For more details, just remember my price has gone up. Why Fast is an intermittent fasting program that gets your cells and body humming and with rich nutrition and nutrients and exercises and recipes. You can ask me questions about that. And remember, intermittent fasting actually repairs cells, reduces inflammation, and gives you mental clarity. You can also, if you need some coaching, you can buy a 2 or 4 week program. I also have, you can use these smaller programs for mindset enhancement as well as health optimization, but those are usually larger journeys. And for limited time, I have a 30-minute coaching session called Debi's Coaching Chats. That's not recorded. There's several topics here that a survey will pick, from optimizing health, ways of releasing stress and emotions, efficiently releasing weight, creating a winning mindset, as well as creating that new version of you in an avatar board to drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformations. These meetings are on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And you need to sign up for it at Debi Changes Lives. That's DebiChangesLives, as in victory, es.com/chats. And you'll learn what my coaching is all about. Finally, learn more about alternative health services, programs, products, and offers, articles, blogs, upcoming shows, events, and promos by subscribing to my newsletter at DebiChangesLives.com. This time, /radio TV show, all in one word. And I give you a gift, a 30-day health and mindset daily action journal where you record your gratitude, thoughts, feelings, emotions, food, water, nutritional supplements, and exercise you do on a daily basis, and also tracking measurements. You want to celebrate your wins daily, weekly, and monthly, and look for your gaps. And if you need help with gaps, you can contact me for coaching. I'm certain that you found this show educational, empowering, and enjoyed it. Reach out to me for my products, services, and also programs and offers, and reach out to Robin for her services and offer. Do we have time for Robin to come back?
Yes, thank you so much. It has been thoroughly a delight to be here. I really feel very privileged to be here, and I salute you for all the good that you're bringing in the world. And I'll just say to the audience that resilience is not like a light switch you turn on and off, and you're born with it, and you can develop it like a muscle. And no matter what your resilience quotient is right now, you can always get it better. And you can find me at robinlearningsystems.com.
Thank you. So I'm continuing to enjoy my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives, on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where your holistic journey begins.